you doing? How are you? I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Hold on.
Take your time.
I don't know what I'm doing. No.
That's about 30 seconds.
I'm like Freddie. I stay ready. Okay. How you doing?
Hi, hello. How are you?
What's up, stranger?
Don't wait until it's too late. Call 866.
Stacey, I guess you know I'm up by it.
This is how brothers do. Yes, man.
Yes, Amanda.
Amanda.
I was right. I'm not a doctor yet.
Hey.
30 seconds to what's going on.
Let me put you on to where I get my style right. GQ Gentlemen, located at 7149 South State Street, right here in Chicago. Whether it's for church, prom, weddings, or galas, GQ Gentlemen has the suits that keep you sharp.
Yeah, that's it right there.
966
Get ready, Marcel.
And tell them Action Jackson.
So that what's going on?
GQ Gentlemen,
Yep.
where Chicago's finest get suited and booted. Where's the action, Jackson? I'll tell you what's going on.
What's going on? So what's going on is aforementioned that today joining us on the Brunch Bunch is Dr. Amanda Long. She's a licensed psychologist and founder of True Space Counseling. She's here to share her powerful journey, blending mental health and entrepreneurship, and to shed light on the silent struggles Black women in business often face. From burnout to abundance, she's bringing truth, tools, and a fresh perspective to Mental Health Awareness Month. Let's welcome none other than Dr. Amanda Long. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm absolutely positively amazing. You know,
Wonderful.
as a Black man, you know, we get all these guests. They be just Black women. I'm like, y'all gonna add me into this conversation because we face it in business too. But you know, kudos to the Black woman because the Black woman is the strongest person on the planet and has birthed many nations. And so I'm always excited to have that conversation. So let's start with your story. What led you to blend mental health and entrepreneurship, and why are you so passionate about supporting women of color through both?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, it really started during my training program. So I received my doctorate from the University of Houston, and what I recognized through my training endeavors was I was being placed in these clinics and these private practices, and I was one of one. So I would be one Black woman, female clinician there. And whenever there would be Black women that were interested in services, they would say, I want her. I want the woman that looks like me. And so what I recognized was there aren't many spaces that center our stories, our experiences, and amplify our voices. And so I just made that my life's work. And what I was really passionate about and what was really important to me was creating a clinic where I called the shots. And I was able to make the decisions that I knew would prioritize the mental wellness of Black women, as opposed to trying to figure out where we fit in someone else's story or business plan.
I love it. And one of the things I was watching, maybe it was a meme in the middle of the night. I don't know. I didn't get much sleep last night. I got two toddlers. One of them had me up. But either it was the meme or it was, why it's important to have African Americans in spaces like mental health and at the hospital and in the legal system. And the case was funny because Judge Millian was arguing with a woman, a Black woman, that says, no way your hair shrinks 9 to 10 inches.
Yeah.
And
She probably was like, yes.
so now
That's
everybody's
my
going
experience.
viral, pulling their hair down the
Yeah.
show. And she just didn't understand as a white woman. And
Mhm.
so, as a black mental health professional,
Mhm.
you understand what the black woman experiences on a daily basis.
Yes.
So you could talk to them.
Yes, absolutely. It's so important to see yourself in those spaces in order to feel a level of comfort that is needed to open up and to be vulnerable. And so, we exist in a society where a lot of our experiences as Black women are questioned or we aren't necessarily believed. We see a lot of that going around in the media right now with everything that is happening. And so it's so important to find those spaces with professionals that not only hear you and see you, they understand you, and they have the clinical skill set and the knowledge to help you navigate whatever those challenges are and get you on the other side of survival so that you can thrive.
Now, that is so amazing. And I'm smiling because I'm a proponent of going to see a therapist.
Yes.
I believe
Yes.
believe God. We believe God, but sometimes you got to take little Billy to the altar
Yes.
and to a mental health professional.
We coexist.
You got to have the Holy Ghost and the doctor to help you. But I figured it out. It wasn't just the black hair that made me think this. It was a Saturday Night Live skit where Nicki Minaj was on, and she went to see a black woman therapist, and she started the conversation and said, "Doctor, my man just asked me to move in with him, but he cheated on me twice in the last 4 weeks." And the therapist just leaned up and said, "Girl."
Yes.
And then said, moved her body language, said girl again. And then the third time she said, "Now girl." And then Nicki Minaj went on to say, "Thank you, Doc, I got you."
Yep.
And it's those little things that make it so important to have somebody that looks like you and understands you in the room.
For sure. I have had many of those experiences where I've been like, now, sis.
And it can only come from you.
Yeah.
Because if Susie say, "Now, sis," you're going to be looking at Susie like, "What are you talking about?" But it makes sense. And shout out to my therapist, who I hadn't seen in a while, but now that I'm talking to you, I may have to call her.
Yes.
But she used to have real conversations with me like that. Like, better, Marcella. Saying no is saying yes to you. Yes. And it'll be something simple like that. Like, you know what? Let me go tell everybody no then.
Yep.
So May's Mental Health Awareness Month. What are some of the unspoken or overlooked mental health challenges that Black women in business often carry silent?
Oh, goodness. I love talking about things like this because I am in the thick of also being an entrepreneur and learning how to navigate this space in a way that promotes thriving and my mental health. And so, the things that I'll share are things that I'm actually actively working on as well. So that's saying no. That's a big one.
Yeah.
Because, something that I heard that really stuck with me was this idea of you don't want to say a regretful no.
Yeah.
Right? You don't want to say a regretful yes. You don't want to say yes to something that, when you're in the thick of it and you're actually, doing the things, you regret saying yes. And it's no longer fun or interesting. And now you have an attitude doing something that you really don't want to do. And this idea of when you say yes to something, that means you're saying no to something else. And so you really have to think about, what your yeses are. And are they really aligned with the bigger picture?
Yeah.
Are they going to help, promote you in ways that are so important for your business? Or are they going to get in the way and cause issues in you being able to actually run the business that you set out to run? Boundaries are also extremely important. So as a mental health professional, everyone wants a piece of me. They want my opinion with something. And if it's a relationship issue and they're calling me, or they want me to, give a think piece about something that's going on in the world. And while I love talking to people, I also don't like talking to people all the time.
Oh, yeah.
So finding that balance, right? And being able to set boundaries just in personal life as well as business. And then I think the third thing that's so important is delegating. And so sometimes as, Black women and just business people in general, we hold on to our businesses and we say things like, this is my baby and this is my such and such and so forth. But when we have that mentality, it's really hard for us to grow and scale in ways that are, important. And so we're holding on to these businesses and we're trying to do everything ourselves and we don't have the answers, the answers. And it's so important to get people on your team that can help you get to that next level with their expertise. You don't have to always rely on, your grit and determination and use all of your time in order to, make those strides in your business, you can have other people help you.
You gotta figure that out. You gotta, or you will get burnt out real quick.
Very quickly.
And
can I add?
Yeah,
being burnt out is not a rite of passage.
Say that one more time.
Being burnt out is not a rite of passage.
You better talk about it.
Just because you are burnt out does not mean that your business is successful. I think on the contrary, if you are burnt out, how are you running a successful business with fumes?
Now, that's interesting because I am a great man of faith, right? And one of my favorite parables in the Bible is when Moses was talking to the fiery bush. The Bible says that the bush was on fire, but it was never consumed by the fire. And I always tell people, when you get burnt out, maybe you weren't called to do what you're doing, because you can be on fire, but you won't be consumed by the fire when God calls you to do something. And so that bush is a great testament to when you called to do something, you won't get burnt out. So it's not a badge of honor saying I'm overwhelmed and tired, because I started to show what God called us to live life and live it more abundantly. So, the old folks say we won't put more on you than you can bear. But if everything is just weighing you down, you got to see if this is really what God called you to do. But that's where your mental health professional helps you. Because sometimes you can't hear from God. Because you're so bogged down and weighed down, and you carrying your own cross. When Jesus came to bear our cross. I ain't going to start preaching. I'm going to offer. Listen, I'm helping myself right now. I'm feeling good. But, I was thinking about and why it's so important to see people like you in this space. And a lot of the saints are, so just heavenly minded. They know earthly good, right? They saying, well, I ain't going to therapy because I got God. And that's well, God created the therapist, right? And my therapist was able to pinpoint that church was a part of my care plan. And one time I was really overwhelmed, bogged down, and she asked me one thing: when the last time you been to church? And I said, it's been about 3 Sundays, life been moving. And she said, you got to go back to church. That's a part of your care plan. That's where you can go cry, release, ain't nobody judging you. You can be around positive people. And you know what? If I had been somewhere else, they would have been saying, you need some Prozac or you need some.
Yes. I mean, and that's the beauty of being in a space with someone culturally that gets it and respects you, your culture, and also, your faith. Right. And to be able to incorporate that in the work that you do with a therapist. First of all, kudos to your therapist. I don't know who it is, but I'll have to get, that contact later.
Shout out to the Hyde Park therapist, Dr. Naila Malone.
But her ability to see you and to see how multifaceted you are and to identify your strengths and then to use that, right, from a strength-based perspective, in order to, again, help you get out of the challenging situation that you were in and into a place where you have the tools, you're using the tools, and you are getting back to a place that you need to get back to.
Yep. Well, that's why you guys are so important, and you're doing amazing work, Dr. Amanda. So you talk a lot about mindset shifts. How can women begin to move from a scarcity or survival mindset into one rooted in peace, purpose, and abundance?
Yes, I love that. So really, when we begin our businesses, it is like boots on the ground, no pun intended.
Oh, Lord.
That's a therapist joke, right?
What a fans.
Our head is down and we are grinding, right? And that is very much survival mode because we are trying to make sure that our businesses survive. And sometimes we adopt that mindset for too long. And with your head down, you cannot be the visionary for your business because you are unable to see your business from a different perspective, the perspective of a CEO.
Yeah.
And when you have the CEO perspective, you are then able to dream for your business. What are things that you want for yourself and your business, your brand? Where are places that you want to go? And it's so hard to do that when you are handling the day-to-day administrative tasks, when you are sending the invoices, when you are calling people trying to get your money, right? And so we have to figure out who do we need on our team so that we can take a step back and really lean into that abundance mindset so that we can become that CEO and grow and scale our businesses in the ways that we dream.
And not be cheap. I think a lot of times entrepreneurs, look, shout out to myself for taking this advice. Yesterday, I finally hired an executive assistant. And I am just so proud of myself. I've been saying it for years. But you know what my mindset always was? I'm not about to spend this money.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna keep it.
Mm-hmm.
But as I told her yesterday, as we negotiated salaries, because we were in a fight, I said, I would have gave you more, but thankfully you settled for less because we're gonna keep going up. I said, but I made up in my mind that I would take less to give more to make more money.
Exactly.
And that's the mindset we gotta have. I may take a little less now, but I'm investing in someone who's gonna help me to get more done and make more money on the back end.
Yes.
And so we gotta have that. I think as small entrepreneurs, as black business owners, it's not that sometimes we don't always have capital to hire. But if we learn how to shift some things around and understand that it's an investment to bring in more capital, we will do it more.
Absolutely.
And so I don't mind being a testimony to say, listen, you listening to Dr. Amanda, if you don't want to be burnt out, that's one of the things you have to do. So let's go back to burnout. We talked about it. And it's something so many high achieving men and women struggle with. What are some of your favorite tools, boundaries, or daily practices to prevent emotional exhaustion?
Oh, I love it. I love all these questions.
So thank you. I worked all night on these.
Again, it's so important to get your head out of the mud, lift your head up, and see what is happening around.
No, they want to get it out the mud. Ain't that the saying now?
I know, and it's not fun. That's not fun. I got a better way for you. It's so important for you to just be present in your experience to know what actually is happening. And what I mean by that is, what is your body doing? Right? Like, where do you hold your stress? What is going on with your stomach? Are you suffering from migraines? Are you sleeping at night? And we neglect a lot of those physical, somatic.
You don't think of that,
Yeah, because we're so busy thinking about what needs to be done for the business. And so one way to prevent burnout is to take yourself away from the business daily so that you can check on yourself, right? And so what I do is at night and in the morning, I have a toddler as well, so I understand. So I have 15 minutes to myself where I just do a body scan. How am I feeling? Is anything bothering me emotionally? How do I feel today? What worked for me today? What didn't? What can I change tomorrow? And what do I need more of? And so in order to, get out of this mindset of burnout and survival mode, you have to pay more attention to what your body is telling you, because your body keeps a score and it will let you know when enough is enough.
That's good. And you had Stacy in the background when you were talking about the different physical elements that we don't pay attention to that cause us to have the emotional exhaustion because we're not paying attention to our body. Now, we all at one point go through, as an entrepreneur, what's called imposter syndrome. Or, the enemy, of course, his first attack is your mind, right? He wants to take your mind off of the things that are really important and happening so that you don't do them. What would you say to someone who appears successful but still feels unworthy, unseen, or disconnected inside?
Yes. There was an experience that I had where someone was asking me about just my accolades and some of the achievements that I have. And I was having a conversation, and I also said, but I love the person that I am. And if all of these things were taken away tomorrow, because they very well can be, there can be an executive order that goes out that completely shifts the way in which I do my business. I run my business, right? There can be insurance panels that decide that they no longer want me on their network. There may be, another technology or something that comes about that, puts me out of business. And at the end of the day, I actually love just who I am.
Yep.
And so cultivating that self-love is so important so that you're rooted in your identity, who you are, and you are making sure that you are connected to the person first, and then all of these other things, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. So when you're thinking about just how successful you are as a businesswoman or a businessman, I also want you to think about how successful are you as a person? Are you doing the things that you feel like you need to be doing, right? Are you doing things that are aligned with your values? And are you operating in integrity every day of your life? Because all of this stuff can be taken away from you.
Yeah. At any moment.
At any moment.
Bishop Larry Trotter said, if I lost everything and still had God, I have enough to start over.
Absolutely.
And so, but that's the faith you got to have, because
Absolutely.
you just said it. Insurance companies could say no.
Yeah.
The government can pull funding from where you get 90% of your funding. So that's why you got to have a great team, and not just in your business, but for your personal life. So you got to have a therapist that is a faith believer, faith talker, faith walker that can help you navigate that, because we move in emotion. And when we get that email that this contract is canceled due to federal cuts, we just shut down, right? But then we need somebody to encourage us. Well, let's figure out other options and other avenues to replace it.
Absolutely.
So before we let you go, what can people expect from your upcoming Pilates and Prosecco event on June the 20th? See, I don't want to keep giving them free therapy right now. They got to come to the event, because I'll keep you here, look, all hour to give me some free therapy too. But Pilates and Prosecco, what can they expect and how can they get involved?
Yes, absolutely. So one of our initiatives with True Space and also Black Women in Color. So we started a sister organization. It's called Black Women in Color. And think of it like a wellness club. So you have your social club where you go and you hang out and you do the things. We actually have monthly events where we curate these special safe places for Black women to have access to different wellness-based activities.
Nice.
Because something that I recognized was that I'm saying self-care, 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 and the Black women that I work with are like, well, where do I go to do these things with people that look like me? And so, not only are we, offering you these different spaces, but we are making sure that they are curated with you in mind. And so we have a Pilates and Prosecco event coming up because we want to expose our members to Pilates. Yeah. It is a wonderful way to get exercise, to engage in self-care, and also something that you can do within community. And so that is one of the events that we have coming up. We also have a retreat coming up in the summertime that is going to be amazing. Different speakers and vendors and all of the things. And so that is some of the things that we have coming up. We're really excited about those things. And again, our goal is to curate these safe spaces for Black women to be able to actually put in practice the self-care that you hear us preaching about all the time. So
for the ladies listening saying, Dr. Amanda, I want to connect. I want to come to the event. I want to be a part of this social club. How can they connect with you? Is it email, social media, website? Drop the contact.
Yes. So the best way is through Instagram and our website. So Instagram, you can find me at Dr. Dr. Long, Long, Listens, Listens. And we also have a website, www.blackwomenincolor.com. That is where you can gain insight into our membership program as well as our monthly events. And if you are looking for therapy, we have a team of 8. We're a group therapy practice, True Space, and that website is www.atruespace.com.
I love all the names and titles. They speak truth to power, and there's power in the name. Absolutely. So that's Instagram, Dr. Long Listens. That means she's going to listen to you. Reach out, blackwomenincolor.com and a true space. .com. Okay, yes. I started talking and forgot the space.com. Well, you know what? Black women matter. Black mental health professionals matter. And believers, all of you listening, matter. Thank you, Dr. Long, for joining us on the Brunch One. Listen, after this, I want you to take time, look back over your life, and count your blessings and understand that God has been good to you. But he will be even better when you put work on top of your faith, because faith without works is dead. Connect with Dr. Amanda Long or any other mental health professional to help you navigate this life, because the road may not be easy, but I don't believe he brought us this far to leave us. He's been good. First Church of Deliverance right here on the Brunch Bunch. Let's get some pictures.
Thank you. Somebody that actually looked over the questions that I sent and actually knew the guests that I was bringing.
Well, listen.
I just want to say thank you, because we've had some interviews where I'm like, what is our focus? What are we putting in on? Because her voice needs to be heard.
Well, I'm glad it worked. And I thank God for Jesus.
You
I didn't read none of that until I said it.
That means you're actually good at what you do.
I guess so.
We brought questions and everything.
We could get money from the hideout. Okay. And I got my Black Means qualified shirt on.
Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you guys. Have a good one. You too.
Not this song, bro. What is happening?
I had the Afro beat, gospel Afro beat in. Marcel play before your intro.
Yeah, that's fine. She was really impactful.
Mm-hmm.
Very soothing voice, you know, just calming for what she does.
Yeah.
So we're gonna be long distance. Yeah. Should I move over closer or this is cool still?
No, you good.
Yeah.
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 Tammy's not here, so you could have said in her seat.
Traveler?
I don't know.
I'm gonna have to call
She
her.
just came back.
I'm gonna have to call
So it's like, where
I'm
did she
gonna have
go?
to call her,
Unless she's handling stuff with the school.
Yeah, my
But
sister. Now hold up. Here's the deal. When she come back, get Marcel gone.
or they both just disappear.
Yeah.
Be fabulous. Be social.
You knock these commercials out and then get to the song.
Queez, a new luxury brand from Tamara Fair. Queez. Order Queez today.
Go to bequeeze.com and get your favorite fragrance today. That's BEQUEESE.com. Bequeeze.com.
Black men are dying. Be part of the solution. Join us for the most fun you'll ever have at a doctor's appointment. It's the Black Men's Wellness Day happening Saturday, June 14th. Come and join us at Washington Park, where you can enjoy free health screening, a 5K walk run, music, a kids zone, and more. This event is free, open to the public. So bring your dad, uncle, brother, son, anyone you care about. Visit aawellness.org to learn more about the event and how you can help. That's aawellness.org. See you there.
Dreaming of a new home or selling at a great price? LMS Development is your go-to. Expertise in real estate and mortgage loans. We make the process seamless and rewarding. No more hurdles in your property journey. Buying, selling, or refinancing, we've got your back. Dial area code 773-616-0906 and step into your property dreams with LNS Development. Area code 773-616-0906. LMS Development, making property dreams a reality. This, you're asleep and suddenly
Do you
your
have an
phone
extra copy
alerts
of
you.
what you gave him?
Someone's at your door.
I can get
Would you
one.
rather
So
be
could
caught
you
off guard
another
or
copy?
be in control?
Yeah, I Safety had is printed an out two option. of them.
It's a necessity. That's
Yeah.
why we trust
You print
Secure
it out.
Home and Automation.
They only printed out one.
Secure Home and Automation is offering an exclusive deal
You need
for
anything
new
else?
customers. Don't wait until it's too late.
Okay, just
Call
on the shop.
866-447-3344.
Automation today at 866-447-3344.
That was a great interview, man.
It was actually. Why
That
let
was
go?
very informative. I kept wanting to say, burnt out doesn't mean burnt up.
You should have.
Nah, I didn't want to jump in there.
No, that's why I told you to come in. I meant to say you could feel free to jump in. But it was going.
No, she was very informative.
She was. It was really. Those are what I call easy interviews.
Yeah, that was just
It was just seamless. And that's like the fourth person who told me that they be thinking I be researching. Okay, so y'all know behind the scenes. I just look at these papers when I walk in.
Yeah. So on today, I know you're gonna print a copy, but
I got it down here.
What you got on first thing?
Let's start with a real scenario.
We can do that. And then
I break in at a construction site.
That's cool. But you know what? I talked to one of my friends today that had a situation across the street from her home. She's one of my clients, but she hasn't been able to get any assistance from so I want to give them some things that they can do if they're not getting assistance, some steps that they can go through to get assistance. You know what I mean? If something goes on, you don't feel like you're getting the proper assistance from where you need to be getting it.
No, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Zoe, you can fade this out and bring us drop Stacy.
Okay.
And drop that number 4 or 5 times. You didn't send me the link. I sent it to both. Yeah, to both.
About to go.
Black means qualified. Letitia said we should have her come back quarterly. She was really good.
Yeah, she was good.
Actually, great idea, Letitia.
Yeah.
I didn't think of that. But I just thought I want to connect with her on some stuff. No. Letitia straight hands.
10 seconds.
That was really, she was very informative. Now, my therapist used to come on once a week back in the day.
5 seconds to Stacy's
and I
intro.
enjoy that mental health because we need it.
It's time for the Chauncey Code.
It's time to automate to elevate. It's your man, Stacy.
Good afternoon, Brother Marcel. How are you today?
Man, listen, after that free therapy session I just got, I'm ready to leap over walls and run through troops.
I feel you, man. She was talking, just a very informative conversation. And I'm so relaxed now, so we can have a different type of conversation in this segment.
Well, you know what? And it's funny how things kind of tie in because we just had a mental health expert who relaxed both of us, helped us understand some things about burnout. But one of the things that we don't talk about as entrepreneurs is, unfortunately, when we try to invest in our communities don't always invest in us, right? You know, a friend of mine, my stylist, put a picture up, somebody threw a brick through his window, stole the mannequin out the window.
Wow.
Or, you know, we're doing development now, and you got construction going on. And, you know, unfortunately, look, my GC, who don't look like me, said, hey, we're going to have a gate because I don't want nobody from the community stealing my tractors and all that. I'm like, they're going to be all right. But unfortunately, things like that happen. So, unfortunately, you've experienced a break-in at a new construction site. Let's walk through what happened and what you learned.
I was blessed to go out and see one of my long-term clients, and so it's so amazing. You know how sometimes you give your clients the right things to do, and they still go left on you. Right?
Oh yeah.
So they opted to go with the dog doors. They had the dog doors on for several months, and that can become kind of pricey. When you have doors on every window, every door, so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
So the individual wanted to get in so bad, Marcel, they end up breaking the brick at the back of the house adjacent to the dog door to get into the premises and steal the copper.
Wow.
And so when he called me, I could not believe it until I was able to go over there and see it, and I ended up taking some pictures, but it was just amazing to me.
I wish the energy they put into tearing down brick to get in the house
build
for copper,
some homes, right?
Yeah, use that to start building them, and you ain't got to steal the copper.
Yeah. And so my technician went out today to actually install a life safety security system that they'll be able to monitor. But now they have to end up paying twice because they have to, of course, recoup the copper and all that kind of stuff and replace that in the home. They have to fix it. Was a large gaping hole that you could have basically driven a car through. I'm like, this is absolutely insane on some of the stuff that I see. Had another customer of mine. She has about 8 cameras around her premises, and there was a shooting in front of her home over the holiday weekend.
Oh Lord!
And so she had called me. She's a transplant. But she was just really, really upset about what's been going on and how she's being treated in terms of trying to get assistance from the local police, so on and so forth. And so just that kind of prompted me to talk about some things that our listeners should be able to do. If you don't feel like you are receiving adequate support, you're not being heard, then you do have some other options. And my friend's probably listening, and she was saying that when the police officers came over to her home, they came over to her home because she had the cameras. They wanted to view the cameras. But her home on that particular street, it's all different types of housing on that Section 8, so on and so forth. But you know how Chicago is. One block is this, another block is that.
Yeah.
She paid probably about $470,000 for a home. So they come inside the home. She's trying to show them the cameras, and then they're referencing stuff like, man, a home like this, I don't see any critters or anything like that.
What?
And this and that. And she was instantly livid, but I'm gonna stay on task here. But anyway,
because you know it's people like that to get this country a bad name.
But none of the officers look like us.
Yeah, that's
you know,
an
they
issue.
lived in different communities. But with that being said, you know, there's certain steps that Chicago homeowners should really take when dealing with persistent, crime issues on their particular block. The first thing that you want to do, Marcel, is make sure that you immediately have great documentation and report. Just report everything that's going on, from dates, times, any descriptions that you can absolutely remember, any photos, if it's safe to do so, of course. Report all crimes to 911 or 311 for non-emergencies, but always get case numbers and follow if you don't hear back within a reasonable time frame. And I think those are some of the things that really, really make the difference, is that documentation beats conversation. You want to get names. You want to follow up with individuals, so you have something to reference.
One of the things we don't do, and I'm sure there's an app out here, or I'm gonna have to create it, but we need like a homeowners app to, just walk us through documenting all of our stuff and taking pictures, keeping receipts kind of organized. The old school way is, in the file cabinet. But if we can put it in an app or something, we just got to kind of get organized so we know. Because when people break in and steal or a fire happen, you can't replace nothing you didn't have documented.
No, you're absolutely correct. And the other piece to that is, unfortunately, if you have a situation your local district is not responsive, then you need to contact the district commander directly. You need to find out who they are, get their contact information. There's 22 police districts on the CPD website. And you just need to request a meeting to discuss the ongoing issues and ask for increased patrols and specific enforcement actions.
Yeah.
And outside of that, I mean, we really want the neighbors and everybody involved has to engage with their alderman.
Yeah.
There's steps to this. It's just not, a one-time situation. You really need to create some systematic steps where you're dealing with these individuals.
Well, the squeaky wheel gets the oil, right? If you ain't making no noise, they're not gonna put no oil on the wheel. So you got to go to the community meetings. Every police district has business meeting for business owners and community meetings for the community. But you got to go in, you got to speak up. You don't got to wait on a one-on-one meeting. Go in the room and they open it up for conversation. But then get other neighbors to voice their opinion too.
You want to organize your neighbors, absolutely.
Yep. So, but one of the things, and I just want to make sure, because every time we on, people are always reaching out to me saying, I didn't catch Stacy's phone number. So I want to make sure we just drop it, because there may be somebody listening saying, you know what, I don't want to be reactive. I want to be proactive. I don't want to wait till somebody in front of my house and I didn't have the camera, or somebody tried to get in my house and I don't have the camera. So you need to call Stacy at 866-447-3344. That's 866-447-3344. So you got any other tips for homeowners?
I mean, there's always major tips when you start talking about our homeowners when it comes to that. But if you are dealing with just in your own home, you want to make sure that you document all evidence, conduct, just document all things that's going on around you. So you just have me thinking about this other situation. People call me about everything when it's regard, like, I am not a private detective.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So when people call me, they're like, what do you think happened? What do you think happened? And I really can't give them, anything other than, hey, you need to secure it this way. You need to call somebody up to board up the home, so on and so forth. But what I will tell you, you want to make sure that you are making sure your cameras are working. Making sure they're recording properly. A lot of times people don't know how to erase certain images on there. They don't know how to test their equipment. When you have a smart home security system, you should test that security system once a month. All you would do is call whomever you are being monitored by. I'm going to say Brinks. I'm not going to say anybody else's name. You call them once a month, say, I would like to do a system test. Well, Marcel, what happens when they do that system test? They put it in test mode. So now they're going to make sure that all of your mechanisms, your motion detectors, your contacts, everything is actually being able to receive the signal to the main monitoring station at brink. So any event that you have a signal when you arming and you're not there, then people are responding. That eliminates you running into situations. Say, hey man, something happened at my home and nobody responded.
Mm-hmm.
System hadn't worked in
because
about
your system ain't been working, and I didn't even know you can call and get a system test
at no cost.
And that's important.
At no cost. So you definitely want to be able to do that.
So let's talk about this, because one of the things that we hear in the community is that security systems are too expensive, or these companies are too expensive, or I can't afford a camera, or I can't get the smart system that Stacy talked about. If a flood happened, it'll alert me to let me know that my basement is flooded. Let's talk about what are some low cost or tech savvy tools like cameras or locks that you recommend for securing sites and homes.
When you say low cost, I think that's almost I don't want to use the word trick type of question, right?
Okay.
But certain things you don't want to cut corners on,
right?
And so when you start talking about being able to protect what matters most to you, we have so many different types of packages where you can get a smart lock for basically less than $1.97 a day, along with the life safety security system to match with that, along with the cameras as well. So we will actually, as you know, Marcel, come out and design that system for you. But I will always say that people buy what they want to buy.
Yeah.
Beyonce sold out 3 nights, was a week or so ago?
Yeah.
The stadium was absolutely packed. They ain't kidding about a storm, and those tickets was not $50.
That sure wasn't.
so at the end of the day, guys, you don't want to cut corners when you start talking about protecting your family, protecting what matters most, because the flip side to that is being traumatized because you did not do what you should have done in the beginning.
So you said something, and I'm glad you pointed that out, because when you think low cost, you think off of Temu or something. You don't want no camera off of Sheen or Temu. Trust me. You want quality equipment that's affordable, and you just gave an affordable price, as low as $1.90 a day.
Yes.
But not just the equipment, the service to protect you.
Correct.
And so that's what I wanna hone in on, because I want to give some people, and you always got a special going. You're always looking out for the people. I just want them to kind of understand what type of system you can come at the bare minimum $1.90 a day if we had to. Let's talk about what that would look like for a family that's saying, I'm not secured, but I want to secure my home. How can Stacy help me?
Well, this is the Marcel special that he's been twisting my arm to give. It's the same one I've been giving for the last year.
Yeah.
And I say that emphatically because what's good today is good tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right. And consistency is so important. I never want the listeners to call back and say, he gave me for this one, but he gave it to this person. No, it's the same deal every day. And that's what makes this such a good thing that we're providing to the community and the believers that listen to us.
Mm-hmm.
So they can get a basic system without any bells and whistles. And we're talking about for about $1.50 a day. And so those are things that we're talking about. And the best thing for them to do, Marcel, is allow me to come out to do a security analysis. We are officially just about into the summer months.
Yeah.
Right? This is the time. I've just had the Beyonce concert, every weekend festivals. Just had the first festival last weekend. Everything is going to be, as the young folks say, lit.
Yep.
Until the end of the summer. And so this is the time for people to be really, really proactive as opposed to being reactive. So reach out to me. They know how to reach me. And I'm gonna act like I'm you today. Give me a call, guys, at 866-447-3344. By all means, I have no issue coming out doing a complimentary security analysis.
Mm-hmm.
If you have existing equipment that's old and you just want me to take a look at it and see if it's salvageable, it may be some parts of that system I can maintain for you. Some of the door contacts.
Yeah.
Not maintain the smoke detectors and things of that nature, but I may be able to salvage a motion detector, some of the contacts to save you hundreds of dollars. But again, reach out to me at 866-447-3344.
Well, I love that, and I'm sure the listeners are excited to hear that, because we can talk about, and I love the real world scenarios, but sometimes we got to get back to the old school what works. Let's talk about what it is that you can do to help the believers. And we have so many testimonials from believers here that have called you and you've set them up, and now their homes are secure, they got great services. And we don't have to keep saying that you can't make this up stories as long as you call the brother Stacy, so we don't have to report your story on the show. So make sure you call it 866-447-3344. That's 866-447-3344. Get a free security home automation analysis. He'll come out, him or his team, and just let you know what they can offer, what you should have. Because here's the deal, too. We may just say, I just need a doorbell camera, because that's all we think we need. But you got 5 doors on your house that people can get in from the outside. You need more than just it. Or when at night, when you're coming down your sidewalk on the side of your house or on your driveway, and you don't got a light there, a motion sensor with a camera, because we catch a lot of, unfortunately, we caught some people going in our cars behind our house, and we don't even have an alley, so they had to walk from the front to the back of the house. But luckily, we had the cameras and the motion sensor, and so they thought it was dark and they wasn't gonna get caught or seen, but the cameras caught them.
So one of my neighbors, I'm walking my dog, Bentley, in the community, and so she went with a competitor. It is what it is. She didn't know me, and when I first met her, I was telling her that this area is not secure. This area is not secure. So they started stealing her garbage can first. She would see it up the street, and then they started the way her street is off of 73rd, right? Her street's right on the corner, and they keep turning she has 2 faucets on the side of her house, keep turning them on. One of the neighbors called her and said, hey, your street is being flooded. It's been off about 3 hours.
Wow.
And so she's had to add some cameras so she can see what's going on.
Because that water bill will get you.
Water bill. Single mom, school teacher, doing very well for her 3 daughters. And she's being, dealt this type of hand where every other day something is going on in the community. I said, you don't have no stalker, do you, sis? What's really going on?
Well, we don't think when we talk about protecting ourselves from little stuff like that. I don't be on it, but Valencia be like, yep, the neighbor took our garbage can. And I'm like, you sure? And she's like, yeah, I know how many garbage cans we had. And I'm like, I would take out the garbage, and I don't even know what we got. But you want to be able to know who took your garbage can, who left your water running, because...
Turn on the water. He just turns on the water and keeps walking. So she finally caught him on the camera. He has some mental challenges. Just had the young lady earlier. He has some mental challenges, but he had been doing it for about a week. Just walk by and cut them on and just keep right on walking.
Now, and if you just listen, I love these real world scenarios. Everybody here knows I drive a Tesla truck. And I'm booing with you. But long story short, I come out and my windshield is cracked. And what the Tesla has is like a helicopter front window, so it's not a regular window.
Wow.
So it was cracked, and I'm like, how did it get cracked? But I left the house, and as I'm pulling out, I saw a soccer ball under my car, and I said, the neighbor's kids kicked this ball, hit my window, and cracked it. But I'm like, how can I really prove this? Oh yeah, but thank God for cameras.
Wow.
And because I had the footage, my neighbors paid for the windshield.
That was a nice little...
That wasn't cheap either. It was expensive, and that's why I was a little hurt that I thought I was
like, you had them come out of pocket, or you just had them tell you deductible?
No, they had to come out of pocket. We don't file no claims if we don't got to. But that's because our home is properly protected from intruders and from just little things happening around the community that if you didn't have the cameras, you can't be everywhere at all times. You're not omnipresent like God, all right? So call Stacey Chauncey, 866-447-3344, and get a free security analysis to protect you and your family.
I want to give it up to Marcel and Tammy, right? So Marcel's been, about a year and some change since I've been here? When I first started coming on the Brunch Bunch, those guys, Tammy and Marcel, said, hey, man, we're going to be some of your first customers. And they actually have done just that. So they're able to tell you guys from their own experiences from having the technology. So you don't have to ask them when you see them. They do have the technology at their home, at their businesses, so on and so forth. And I'm so grateful for that, because we're always talking about that dollar circulating multiple times before it leaves the community. And at the Brunch Bunch, it circulates all the time.
All the time. Well, listen, you're talking about all the time. We're out of it right now. But we encourage you. We want to thank Brother Stacey for always coming and joining us on the Brunch Bunch. Shout out to Tamara Fair. We're praying for her She is dealing with some family issues today, but we're going to keep her lifted in prayer and the families that are affected. And we encourage you to keep Love 24 alive. Tell someone that you don't know that you love them. Tell someone that you do know that you love them. Love will begin to spread like a wildfire. Brother Stacy, I love you. Believers, we love you. Baby Eminem, we love you too. We get it done every day, Monday through Friday, 12 to 1, right here on the Brunch Bunch. Tell all your friends and your frenemies to tune in. We out. That was good.
Yeah.
And I was low energy when I first got in here, and I ended with high energy. All right, we out. Facebook. Donald Buster Woods, what's up, man? I thought about you. I got to call you. Yeah, we got to talk. But good to thank you for tuning in. We will see y'all tomorrow. What is it? Thursday. We got a great guest, I'm sure. I don't know who it is, but
Flanagan.
Oh, the Flanagan. They are great guys then. I don't have to assume.
Don't call the mannequins, call the Flanagans.
Black means qualified. You know what? I got to tell her to model. Shout out to Sharice for this shirt. I want black and qualified. That's what we, They... All right, let's do it. Let's do it. All right, see y'all tomorrow.